Welcome to One Shots, a Dum Dums and Dice podcast where professional voiceover actors and improvisers tackle one-shot stories created in a variety of hit RPGs. I'm your host, DJ One Shot 2.0, and I'm here to welcome you to No Grotz, No Glory, a journey into the orkish side of the 41st millennium using the Goblin Quest RPG. This arc features GM Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Laura Hamstra, and Borovic. What happens when the Dum-Dums play a group of Gretchins trying to take to the skies of Armageddon on a stolen rocket? Nobody knows. 'Cause it's One Shots, Goblin Quest Edition. Wow, 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 wow.
After action report. Third battle of Armageddon. It's like I've been saying. I can't quite account for it. He had me dead to rights. But then something happened. Commissar, we've been over this. You're going to have to be a little bit more specific. Right. Well, it started with a light in the sky. There are very few Grotz remaining, but there's still much glory to be had. The rocket is prepped. Our good friend and long-standing companion Grassmeat has launched, or is in the process of launching. Snippin, our other long-standing Grot companion, has leapt to glorious death fighting a Space Marine sergeant, thus inspiring the orcs to fight extra hard and giving the team a much-needed success. You've made quite an inroad into getting your rocket up and going, but there's still a few things that need doing. Bedazzled Bob, I'm sorry to keep kind of hang tight, but that's kind of where we're at. In Canada Federa, I feel like you're in the same boat. Just hanging out, top of the rocket, ready.
Canada Federa is where he wants to be.
We are ready and braced.
Yeah.
But Zag, there are still a few outstanding Grotz to the wind. So let's see if you can get them to rejoin the cause. I feel like, Lugi, you're not going to light this thing off until all available Grotz are aboard. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. He's got to protect his team.
All right. So Zag, let's see how many more Grotz you can get.
What am I rolling?
Same your Sty Boy roll, same as last time.
Oh, same as last time? Doing the 4?
Oh, okay.
Unless there's a different way you want to signal people, given that
No,
you choked yourself.
no, are you kidding me? He's doing this. Is this the same thing over and over in slightly different combinations? Like,
great.
He's just like fucking going at it. Like, he's already twisted his neck once. 5422.
5422. Okay. So you're just like waving those pants. I think very dramatically. You get a success, which is huge. You get something good, which is also good. But unfortunately, you also take some damage. So I think as the engines are starting to spin up, you're just waving those pants. And if only there was a Grot equivalent of Edna Mode, you would know not to wear capes or wave pants anywhere near an engine.
I'd like to think, too, I just want to add that Zag gets distracted by the Space Marines coming in and just has a moment of, geez, those would be great pants to steal.
Amazing. Yes, as you're thinking about a very different kind of gene stealing than the one Space Marines normally have to deal with. Your pants get like caught in the engine, but we've also established
Zag has heard that they fight gene stealers. It's like, that's me, man. Man, I can do it, man.
Which is what you think as the massive kind of like exposed internal turbine starts spinning on the back of this. Bedazzle Bob having like perhaps pushed a button that doesn't actually launch anything but spins it up. And it's not like there's an engine for you to get sucked through. I think instead you just get sucked in. So in a blast of khaki and denim and zippers and occasional buttons, that, crown that people thought they'd lost in the wash, just like spraying in a fucking like pinwheel of horror. as Lugi continues to load the engine. Good news is the rest of the Grotz arrive to help with the launch. So we'll get to that now. So what remaining Grotz do we have? Let me know who they are and how they arrive. Running and keeping in mind that they're now dodging through like a swirling melee of like one unit of angels tied up with orcs, but like the rest of the camp is still under attack. People are fighting, squigs are flying, bolter rounds are just blowing holes in things. Yep. How do the rest of the Grotz arrive?
Botch shows up wearing just a bonnet, and just pushing this wheel up the hill, being like, I'm helping.
Botch is evoking for me my favorite reboot scene of just like, I'll make your boots go faster. And then they just fuck it up. Just aces. All right, I love it. Great. I think Tyler, you've got some of them. Yep.
I've got one left, so they're on the scene now. This is Torfu. Torfu wears no clothing. And actually, he does. I must confess, he does have skid marks. He has no face. He just came out wrong. So there's no mouth or eyes or nose. He's just a blank grot head. And he just has a paintbrush that's dipped in axle grease, and he just paints various expressions on his face. So he's just got a clumsy looking set of eyes and a weird squiggly line scrawled on his face. It's always wet and fresh, so we can just wipe it off and do a new one for just as the situation warrants. So he's kind of just like doddering around and like bumping into stuff, but he's slowly making his way over.
I guess he probably just heard Zag getting sucked into an intake because he really wouldn't get much out of the pants waving.
No.
He just heard a no me.
Yeah. And he's just following the mains. Yeah. Oh, that's what Torfu's doing. He's making his way over.
Great. And Ryan, who from the Morks arrives.
Oh no, they're fucking dead. It was just Snippin. He died, so it's just Lukey. Lukey's here doing a job.
All right. Amazing. So there's not many of you left, but there's enough to get it going. So the rest of the Grotz have arrived. You still need 3 successes to get off the runway here. So Lugi, how are you prepping the explosives here?
So Lugi has taken all of the ammo off of his various bandoliers, and he's just cranked them into the bottom of these rocket jets that when they go off, they'll just go off with a bang. And he is an ammo runt and a mech boy who works with a big mech. So he has just souped up the big mech gun as much as possible. He's stripped out the minimal safeties that a big mech will use. He's like crossed every wire so it'll just crank out the most fucking energy at the bottom. He is just trying to just hypercharge every system at the base of this and just get everybody else amped for how high they're going to go.
Okay. So I think what we might do is say that the launch is occurring, and this is going to all happen concurrently. So like Lugi's going to set it off. Bedazzle, you're going to press the button if you can. We're going to have to roll for it.
Mm-hmm.
Cannon Fodere, you're going to have to roll to hang on. And Botch, so you've rolled in all your naked glory roll in that wheel. You are helping.
Yeah, of course.
How are you going to help the rocket launch? What does Botch see that?
I think probably. I mean, remember that this wheel. This is their ancestral heirloom. Like this is. Very meaningful.
The family for hours and hours.
I mean, Botch couldn't leave the wheel behind, and B, I mean, the wheel is a spare wheel to help things drive.
Totally.
So I think Botch just runs up, rolling that thing, just picks up the wheel and just slams it into the side of the rocket.
So Botch is adding a spare tire to the rocket to make sure that it's fully equipped.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go with Loogie first. Oh, actually, sorry. I guess I should ask.
What's Torfu doing? Yeah.
I assume Torfu's part of this quest is just getting on the fucking rocket.
Yeah. Torfu does know what a clock is and can count down, but he cannot see. So he can't. So he picks up the wristwatch and just holds it to his ear and just hears the ticking, and he just starts to do a countdown with his fingers.
Just paints it on his face.
Yeah, that's actually better. He's painting just big numbers on his face, just sort of like a 3, wipe it down, 2, wipe that down, 1, wipe that down. And he is also calling it out, but I mean, you can't tell what he's saying. It's just like,
So literally all the countdowns that astronauts have heard in the history of moon missions are just like shitty comms. You're like, all right, yeah,
that's just what he sounds like off the mic.
Okay, well, oh shit. Yeah, great. I guess my question is he going to try and get on the rocket after that, or is he just ensuring that the countdown happens?
Oh yeah, he'll do 5. He'll do like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then he'll just like run forward and with his arms open and just grab something.
Wide open. I love it.
And maybe it'll be a rocket. Maybe it'll be a blood angel. I don't know.
Okay, well, I think then the order of events here is probably countdown, ignition, wheel, button. Does that sound right?
The question is, are we rolling for the countdown or are we rolling for him grabbing the rocket as it takes off?
It's all one action.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's not like the countdown will just fail and you don't go. It's all...
We just refuse to leave until someone counts down.
He gets to 2 and dies, and everyone's like, what comes after 2?
We're all doing this, or we're not doing it at all. Do it right or stay home.
Yeah. I mean... Truly a military genius. Admittedly, has picked up Commissar's tricks, like Hundo P.
You all better watch out or I'll shoot myself.
All right. So, I think actually, I may have fucked this up. I think it's probably countdown, wheel, ignition, button. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because I feel like Botch feels like the wheel is probably happening concurrently to the countdown. Like you've got to get the spare tire on before we fly.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start.
He's just racing to beat the countdown.
So let's start with the countdown. I feel like Botch, you wouldn't panic until you heard saw the countdown on Torfu's face as Canifidare clutches the nose. Bedazzle just like sits there waiting to bop like you're playing fucking Simon Says, and Loogie continues to rip safeties off of already wildly unsafe weapons. So Tyler, let's go ahead and roll for that countdown. So I know you didn't stat these guys out with our complicated character builder, but I think you said Torfu understands numbers, so like giving you a point for that.
Okay.
Point for just action.
Yep.
And I think I'll give you one for the watch. Like you guys did the work. I feel like you deserve to reap the benefits.
All right.
And Laura rolled a something good last round when dear sweet Zag the Pants Snagga met his doom. So go ahead and add +1 to your rolls.
Okay.
The most vital part of the launch gets the +1s. Like, good work, everyone.
These total out to a 4, a 3, and a 6.
Hey.
Factoring in
hot.
Hey.
Damn.
That's a good
all right.
one.
Closer to launch. The 4 and the 3 cancel each other, so we're only counting the 6. So yeah, that countdown's pretty fucking good. But Botch, oh no! You hear the countdown and they don't have a spare tire. What happens if they get a flat?
Helping faster, helping faster, helping faster.
All right, so I'm getting the sense that Botch likes to help.
Yeah. Well, Botch is repair crew.
All right.
And Botch is very excellent, he's like very good at driving things, specifically wagons. So like this is like getting this wheel on is like
All right.
forte.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. I'll give you, I guess, 3 on that or 4. 3, I think.
I think 3. Yeah.
What is a rocket if not a wagon for another time?
Exactly. All right. 6, 4, 3.
Wow.
Hey.
Oh.
Twin roll.
Yeah.
So yeah, Botch, you run up and like it's a thing of beauty. Like you see the spot where you could just jam this wheel, like the broken axle piece in, and you give it a proper spin. And yeah, that is a well secured wheel. So you're feeling good. You have helped. The mission will be a success now. All thanks to Botch.
So Botch I imagine just runs around the rocket now saying, I helped. Where board?
As Torfu continues to like paint down the numbers.
Yeah.
Amazing. So we've hit 2, Loogie, which is time to ignite that shit.
Yep. So Loogie standing with the big mech gun, all ready to launch the whole thing. He takes off his commissar's cap and he takes off the cape. And what's the name of the guy on the nose of this stupid thing?
Cannon Fodere.
And he's like,
Yeah.
all right, Cannon Fodere. You got to show everybody that the red gobbo can fly. And he wants to just throw that gear up so that somebody with the costume is on the tip, because that's the Clutch's secret goal, is showing off the red gobbo. And then he just leans down, and I'm picturing just like a huge fucking gun that he could barely get his arms around. So it's just like the stock, but it's taking both arms all the way. He's got like a full hand gripping the trigger. And he's just going to look over at Torfu as Torfu gets on and be like, you know the funny thing? I can't read. And then just pull the trigger because he could not understand the countdown. So I think, obviously he's trying, so it's a dice.
Yep.
He's a big mech boy, so I think that's another one.
Mm-hmm.
He's an ammo runt, and he built his ammo into this, so I think that's another one. He's tried to inspire Cannon Fodere into being something impressive. And I would say he's not wearing the commissar's hat and cape, but the spirit of them feels like it's pretty present, if that's allowed.
And you can only survive this Blood Angel assault if you're not here.
That is correct.
If you're here, you will die.
That is 5 dice.
Jesus. Is that a record for our game so far?
Yeah, I think so.
That's the
Yeah,
highest
yep.
roll.
That is a 6, a 5, and 3 2s.
No.
Amazing. So you yell all of that, and you've always wanted to fire a big mech's gun. You'd never be allowed to do this, but like you pull in, and oh my god, it's so satisfying. And it just starts like punching holes in the dirt. Like it is just firing, and it's a fucking thing of beauty. Of course, it doesn't make the rocket go because it's a gun shooting the ground. But man, do you feel like your entire little like grot body? I mean, you're jacked, but like, you know, your muscles are wobbling like, you know, Schwarzenegger in slow-mo. But having heard the yell and the countdown and the gun going, Bedazzle Bob, it falls to you. Go ahead and roll to hit ignition. It's early because Loogie can't read, so he didn't know what number it was, and is thus in the way. But go ahead and roll for launch.
Yeah, and I think it's as Bedazzle Bob goes to push the buttons, like it's button time, it's shiny button time, because there's the gunfire and all of the empty shells just glistening in the light, just coming over the sides of the rocket.
It's like the Matrix shot where they're under the helicopter and the bullets are raining. It's just like, it's beautiful, it's slow, it's shiny.
You see Grassmeat in the background riding a rocket.
Not yet, man. Not yet.
Not yet.
Hanging on to that.
I thought he was in the air.
Not yet. We'll get there.
All right. So I get 1 for trying. I get 1 for liking shiny things.
And you're using the colander as a steering wheel.
I'm using the colander as a steering wheel.
This is true.
And, you know, their clan is good at holding things. So that is pushing a button, holding a thing.
Is it holding a button down?
Holding a button down.
I mean,
to launch.
I'm gonna give it to you because it's the final episode.
Yeah.
but also, if this thing launches, you will be holding on very hard. There are no seatbelts in this, so it is not up to code. So yeah, I'll give it to you.
All right, here we go. Let's see what this does. Oh, it's terrible. We're using luck. We're using the luck. It's awful. It's a terrible roll.
What's Bedazzle Bob's Lucky Tooth situation?
Bedazzle Bob's Lucky Tooth is all of this necklace of pieces of metal, and as the ruckus is going on, they just fly up and they swallow all these pieces of metal and teeth. And it's just like button. They're trying to push buttons.
One of them was a different Grotz Lucky Tooth that just happened to be on your necklace.
There you
By
go.
swallowing it, you get the luck.
Oh, it's still not good, but we're taking it. 1 5,
Yep.
1 4, and 2 3s. Someone's gonna have a bad time.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so, well, I mean, I can tell you who it is. It's Loogie.
This 4 and 3 cancel each other out, right?
Yeah.
So it's a 3 and a 5. Then.
Yeah. So the rocket ignites, and as Loogie is sitting there firing the gun, that vomit fuel just ignites. It burns through what's left of Zag the Pants Snagga. Fire shoots out the sides in like a giant spinning burning pinwheel, and then fire blasts out the bottom, incinerating Loogie like he's Sarah Connor in that fucking dream sequence in Terminator.
Can I throw something even weirder in based on lore that I've always loved? The mech gun is firing just blue bolts of energy, and there's this intake at the back, and it's just sparking. And then Loogie just gets drawn in and blasted through as matter because a bunch of big mech guns are actually fueled by eating Grotz and then turning them into like warp energy.
Perfect.
So he goes out as fuel.
Wow.
And with that, the rocket blasts the fuck off. Torfu and Botchu leap on board dramatically, and Ken and Fodere, suddenly you are pulled hard against this thing as it kicks. Meanwhile, Grassmeat, your rocket has launched. You are sailing through the air heroically, but you see another rocket also launch. And you and your friends on this rocket have to avoid that rocket or it's going to be real bad. So Grassmeat, I'm going to need you to roll before we roll for Ken and Fodere.
Okay.
To see if you can dodge this rocket with your rocket.
Grassmeat turns on his left turn signal on the rocket.
Just imagine this whole scene with like
so I'm using 2 dice for this because he's an idiot.
and you get a -1.
And a -1. So factoring the -1s, these become a 2 and a 1.
I think it's gonna be a long time. Okay, amazing. That's very funny. Ken Fodere, go ahead and roll to hold on. Just hold on to that fucking rocket.
Cannon Fodere is at the tip of this rocket looking like an M. Bison figurehead because he's now wearing the hat and the cape and he's still got his fancy vest. Excuse me. So because he has to be first, I think he's going to try and get out of the way before Grassmeat does. Like it's his idea to get out of the way. And because he's smarter than Grassmeat, he's actually going to be at the tip of this rocket and just leaning all the way to one side, trying to use his little itty bitty grot weight to
Like he's leaning off
manipulate
the side of a sailboat.
Yeah, to like manipulate the trajectory of the rocket.
All right.
Dare I say, Tom, he is wearing.
I was going to say
ancestral
yes.
thing.
I was 100%. Yeah, of course we're giving him that dice.
Yay!
You best believe.
I love this fucking game.
That's my count has that at 3. So we'll go 1. Oh, it just rolled a third one here. 1. That's a D8. This app is great. 1, 2.
And Tyler, I'm going to give you a +1 to these because Dell got a secret success. Like she got 1 success over what we needed.
Okay.
So I feel like you guys should get some mechanical benefit from that. So I'm going to give you a +1 to this roll.
So that puts it to a 6 and 2 3s. Should I re-roll with a tooth? Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah. I
It
mean,
could
we
be
got a
worse,
success
but it
and
could be
then-
better.
You got the +1. I'd say go for it, baby.
Yeah.
We're orcs, man. Orcs don't fucking don't wuss out. You fucking roll that
No
bones.
glory, baby.
All right, I'm going to use the tooth.
Just hit 4.
What's Canifader's lucky tooth?
He was a little hasty in removing the mustache, and so it comes with a little human tooth that he just kind of picks out of there. Like, ew, what's that? And he just like tosses it to the side. Holy shit. So with the +1, it becomes I'll do it from lowest to highest. It becomes a 5, a 6, and a 7.
So yeah, seeing Grassmeat flying towards you, and inspired by the legacy of the Red Gobbo, you just crank the rocket as hard as you can, and sure enough, you manage to dodge out of the way. And Grassmeat's rocket just soars majestically inches from it.
I can't fall there. Just waving.
My question for Botch and Torfu: do you think either of you would get dinged by the rocket? You don't need to roll anything. You got on last and are kind of hanging on by a thread.
Pure chance with Torfu. Who knows?
Botch's defining features that he fails at everything except for anything to do with wagons. So
amazing. So Botch, I think you noticed that the wheel is wobbling. So you did one of those like really impressive, like, trying to fix the train while still going. You like crawled back with a wrench in your mouth, and you straighten the wheel, and the wheel is just spinning, and it's so good. And when this thing makes landfall, glorious landfall, it's gonna be just the best. At which point, the Grassamine Goblin rocket just fucking decks you, and you get stuck on like one of the little like tail fins.
Yeah.
And you're just bent around that. You're still alive. You're now holding on to it.
I'm dying. I'm dying.
I was gonna say, Tyler, do you want to roll a die to get our random Torfu just on a 4+? He stays on 1 to 3, fucking dead.
Yeah,
This does have a coin flip thing, so let's just flipping. Oh, do a coin animation. Tails. Now I didn't decide what heads or tails do. So, heads, he stays. Tails, he goes.
cool.
We'll flip again. It's tails. He goes. He gets caught up in it.
We loved you.
All right, so Torfu, you hear I'm dying, naturally being like the most empathetic and probably hungriest of the cannibal Grotz.
Yeah.
You take a brave leap, and I think land on the back of it like that, dramatic, like, Dark Knight Returns way where, like, you don't have anything to flap off the back.
No.
Your paintbrush dramatically spilling oil, and
skid mark is spraying behind you.
Yeah. You take the three of you take
He starts at the
ride.
tip of the new rock and just slides down, and just shit stream goes down as he slides on his ass. As he
So
just
Tyler,
skids to the tail of the rocket.
describe for me what the last ride of Grassmeat, Torfu, and Botch. You're headed for there's a squad of Blood Angels. Not in were you gonna hit in the camp or on the battlefield? Probably in the camp, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, our heroes are rocketing over the battlefield, up out of the camp and up over the battlefield. You rocket back into the battlefield, and in a swirling melee of mostly mech boys we've established because they're the only ones who work at this camp. A pain boy, a kill can, a bunch of random squigs, and just a bunch of an earless marine, and just a fucking bunch of orcs. A rocket comes tearing towards them. What is this last ride look like before you smash into literally every character we've met to this point?
Grassmeat still under the impression that this is the rocket that we're taking to leave. There's the din of combat all around, but they do just hear a very stupid sounding Grotz who like beep beep, and he's just waving like get out of the way to them as the rocket just like careens towards them.
Last moments for Torfu and Botch.
Grassmeat turns over to Torfu and says, "Hey, Torfu, how do you breathe if you don't have a face?" And Torfu draws a face of horrific realization and suffocates before impact.
Doctor, I am Hagashi. Botch, when you've recovered, what is your final moment?
Because Botch fails at everything, Botch can't even die properly on this rocket and falls off of the little what's it called?
It's the fin.
the fin. And it's like, I'm alive. But then the remaining squigs that ran away just pile on and just tear Botch limb from limb.
And as they're feasting on Botch, behind them, kind of in, like they're in silhouette in the foreground, and behind them, we see the last ride of Grassmeat. Despite the signal, and despite saying beep beep, all legal ways to indicate intent, the rocket just slams in. So as these squigs are tearing Botch apart, and the final bonnet of Orkagon Trail is torn up, the rocket hits, and it's just like one of those like giant red, like, you know, like not quite a mushroom cloud, just like one of those like big red blasts. Just like, you know, Marines are tossed through the air, orcs just splattered everywhere, and it was a glorious ride. It wasn't quite riding with style, but it was falling with style. Meanwhile, aboard the good ship we never bothered to name it, Canfodere, you're riding up front, cape flapping behind you, cap squarely upon you. You've rolled spectacularly well, so you're in it to win it. Bedazzle Bob, you're rapidly realizing that the colander is not allowing you to steer, and you may not be, like, we've established you have like really good focus. You're noticing that, like, despite how souped up this thing is, the rocket's trajectory is not continuing up. It's starting to arc down, which is not ideal for your situation. What do you do as a pilot to try and correct the trajectory?
I think this is the Grotz trying to use the power of the orcs, of just believing that's going to work, because their whole thing is, you know,
Yep.
If we accomplish this, we'll be big. We'll be big. Think big. So Bedazzle Bob is just holding on to that colander and steering it, just with all of their might, believing. And as the rocket starts arcing, it's like doing a Superman off of a bike, just body floating, holding on to the colander, which is also floating, just all of it suspended in air.
Spectacular.
Trying to believe.
All right. So go ahead and roll. I think that's probably 3.
Okay.
Oh my god.
For like, and you know, I'll give you a 1 for the power of the wah.
Yeah.
Tapping into the
I'm gonna believe that this is gonna work.
Your muscles are growing as you're holding on. Like, by tapping into this depth of orc mysticism, you've got good odds.
Oh, I got a 4, a 5, a 5, and a 6.
Holy shit.
You faster than you know, many orcs before you. Your muscles begin to like tense, like as you're gripping it, like your hands are like suddenly it's just like you got too many steroids too fast. Like your arms are rippling. You're pulling it, and again, no Imperium science could possibly explain this, but the trajectory of the rocket shifts, and instead of just arcing directly up and down as you were, it begins to level out a bit. And Cannon Fodere and Bedazzle Bob, beneath you stretches the battlefields of Armageddon. This war will continue on long after this battle. It will become a planet caught in a constant deadlock, until the eternal night settles down upon the galaxy, at which point the original lords of this planet, the forces of chaos, will return and attempt to seize it once more. But for those fighting below, this is it. And for their history books, the third war for Armageddon ends here. And beneath you, you can see Imperial Guard regiments clash with Orc boys. You can see squigs running loose. You can see massive artillery shelling the shit out of things. Salamanders with their giant flamethrowers just marching forward with a tide of fire, a desperation in their ranks as they try and preserve the last vestige of humanity on this cursed planet. You see blood angels in a frenzy tearing through orcs with chainsaw, but falling as knobs fall upon them. Just fire on both sides pouring into this battle. But of course, the centerpiece, you see the massive mechanical body of Ghazghkull Uruk Thraka, more machine than orc at this point. His massive, broad shoulders with a massive standard behind him, huge, like big shooters strapped to his arms, massive power claw, just fucking making war on Commissar Yarrick and his retinue, who are bravely facing him, but are just being absolutely decimated and slaughtered. And Bedazzle Bob, as the rocket begins to fall, slowly you begin to slide away from it, still holding your colander. Your arms growing stronger, your body starting to feel tense against your flesh, and knowing that you've managed to steer it true, you're able to let go. Plus, there's so many fucking shiny objects beneath you. You just can't help but look.
I think it's just looking at it would be a close-up of Bedazzle Bob's face with all of these eyes, and all of the eyes reflecting all of the explosions going on, and just
It's so beautiful.
And with that, you kind of just drift back away from the rocket as the rocket flies. Ken Fader, you are of course up front. You got to be first. Yep. And indeed you are, and you see him. You see Ghazghkull Uruk Thraka, who indeed is a high fashion for orcs. Who wouldn't want a giant metal body made of nightmares? But also, you flew specifically in his honor, and you can hear shouts from beneath you of, like, "It's the Red Gobbo! The Red Gobbo! He's gonna get you, Space Marine!" And you realize some part of you, perhaps not fully understanding what the Morks were after, you've achieved their goal. You've brought the glory of the Red Gobbo to this battlefield. As without your erstwhile pilot, the rocket begins to fall, and it is arcing down now. But honestly, you've done what you set out to do. You've paid tribute to Ghazghkull on this is the eve of his duel. You got here, and you got to be first. The first Grot in space, kind of, not really, sort of. And as the rocket veers downward, you can see it's starting to nosedive, and being on the nose, that this is bad news for you. When you start to hear a weird whistle off the back of the rocket, like is this piercing, odd whistle, kind of. And as you look, there's a spinning wagon wheel that's just fucking with the trajectory of the rocket enough that it begins to turn and spin ever so slightly. And as the ground approaches, suddenly the nose is no longer facing directly down. The entire thing begins to tilt up ever so slightly, meaning that when it hits, rather than being crushed under the weight of your grotly ambition, you are thrown free. And you soar majestically through the air, thrown from the rocket as it detonates behind you. It's a classic, like, action hero, being blown away by fire. What is your thought as you fly?
I think it's about how proud Ghazghkull must be.
Amazing.
Yeah. We did it for you, big guy.
Commissar Yarrick knows he's fucked. He's fought Ghazghkull before. Ghazghkull actually took him prisoner, tortured him, set him free for this exact moment. And as strong as the commissar is, as strong as his will is, having defended Armageddon now twice against the legions of Ghazghkull, there's just something about the unrelenting green tide of the orcs that even someone as full of grit and power as Commissar Yark simply cannot defeat. With the orkish weapon he's grafted onto his arm, he continues to block Ghazghkull's attacks, using Ghazghkull's old claw against him, firing bolt pistol round after bolt pistol round at close range into the monster's chest. But when Ghazghkull set him free, he told him he wanted to meet on the battlefield. And now Yark knows why. Because there was never a world where he walks away from this. But damn it, he warned people for years this would happen, and he owes it to the people of Armageddon to fight to his last Emperor's damned breath. But then he saw a light in the sky. And they say in various corners of the galaxy that the Emperor, whether in this realm or some other, can appear as a comet in the sky, can appear as a light in the sky. And lo and behold, as Ghazghkull reached back with his massive claw in a killing blow that Yark knew he no longer had the strength to repel, Ghazghkull slipped. And off balance, Yark saw his opportunity. He stepped through, reached deep with his claw, tore deep into Ghazghkull, and tore out machinery and organs. The orc war boss, the mighty prophet of Gork and Mork, stumbled backwards, slipping and falling. Strange for such a sure-footed creature, strange for one so mighty. And if you were looking as Ghazghkull Urkthraka fell backward into his horde, as he was whisked away from certain death, you might have seen a smear on the bottom of his boot. A smear wearing a very nice vest, a red cape, and a small cap. After all, no Grotz, no glory.
Our No Grotz, No Glory Goblin Quest adventure features our GM Tom McGee, along with players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Laura Hamstra, and Del Borovic. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the One Shots logo was created by Decapitated Markers, at Decapitated Marker, that's MRKR, on Twitter. This show's theme music is Gothic Trip with Thunderhorse by Damiano Baldoni, and our ads use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com, our Twitter and Instagram at dumdumdice, or on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you could join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. I'm DJ One Shot 2.0. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button and show your love to One Shots. Wow.
Epilogue. The forces of chaos descended on Armageddon as a sort of homecoming. Cut off from the rest of the galaxy, the remnant Imperial and Orc forces were caught unawares, neither being aware of the history of this cursed, chaotic planet. Ghazghkull, long gone, left, off on further conquests, Commissar Yark chasing him across the galaxy, his orcish white whale. The forces that remained locked in eternal battle over the ashes, the corpse of this world, turned in horror as chaos descended upon them once again. An unlikely alliance was struck then between the commander of the Imperial forces and the Orc warlord commanding the planet. Two people who could not have been more different, mortal enemies who had fought each other for generations, turned as one to face the eye of chaos as it opened upon the planet. And the remaining Imperial Guard stood shoulder to shoulder with the mightiest war boss the planet had seen since Gazkul himself. Bedazzle Bob, war boss of the orcs, got a little distracted by how many shiny things were in front of them. But then took a deep breath, focused, as he had so many times over the years, put his colander squarely upon his head, and let out one final mighty wah. And together, the remnant forces charged into the maw.
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. The Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Sammy Boy, Orion Birchfield, Scott Garland, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Acrix, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Austin Nut Powers Fry, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Roman Brown, Shulzari, Christian Mendez, Spot Allen, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.